tell us few tips. One is how to select a hashtag. And second one, what is the life cycle of a hashtag when I create a new?
Yeah, I've seen people do that, but usually I think it depends on the individual what they want to do. And also, I think if you create hashtags around yourself, you must be a regular content creator then as well, on a very regular basis. If you're just following hashtags because you want to stay up to date on things, then you look for the well-known hashtags. So you can look on LinkedIn, and you can also use Google Alerts to find out about the topic, and you can also find out what are the trending hashtags on Google and on LinkedIn as well. So kind of cross-reference a couple of different ways to find out what's trending. In each person's space, there will be relevant hashtags. So in my space, things like marketing, communication, internal communication, corporate communications, these are some of the hashtags. They would be relatively short keywords, 1 or 2 words. I know that people also have hashtags where they have little short phrases, but the tendency is to stick with short keywords that are subject matter related.
For example, I wanted to do a post on LinkedIn, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, how do you make your post more professional and expand it to more people? So, is in a sense, I'm asking, do you tag LinkedIn hashtags and people in that post so that it will be visible to everyone, or what are the tips?
Oh, okay. When you write a post, well, first thing you have to start with is, what am I doing here? What am I writing? Because often you see people, they post things on a whole range of issues. Sometimes they may just be wanting to be visible. Like, I'm just talking for the purposes of talking. Nothing wrong with that too. But you have to ask yourself, what is it I'm posting? Why am I posting this? Who is this meant for? And what do I want them to do? Or what do I want them to think when I'm creating this post? Those are the questions that you need to ask, and that will guide you as to what you're doing. So, for example, when I write a post, the tendency is to think about how I can assist people. Okay, in my line of work, and what I want to do is to be able to support people and to help people understand that writing content is not that hard, but it's not super easy either. But you have to have a plan. You can't just come in there and just go with the flow. You have to have a bit of a plan. There has to be a bit of structure, but it is completely achievable. So when I write the content, I have in mind my audience. And the way to think about it is, there might be multiple levels of your audience. So for example, when I write a piece of content, sometimes I'm writing for the introductory audience. So people who are really at the start of the journey, haven't really written before, kind of scared, not sure where to start. So when you write content at that level, you kind of keep it brief. You try to eliminate jargon. You try to map out not just what to do, but why you need to do it this way, so they understand why you've taken that approach, and you make it simple. A second type of audience might be the intermediate, somebody who's already been posting content for a couple of years, already knows you don't have to tell them what to do. They're into a little bit more of a refined approach. So telling them to, map out their different audiences, telling them, okay, now how can we take things to the next level? That might be the approach. And then you've got the more sophisticated, mature audience where they know all of these things. So what are the kind of issues that they might be talking about? When they're talking, say, about cloud computing, they're not talking about introduction to cloud computing. They're not talking about, current trends or whatever. They're talking next level. So how can I be a thought leader in this space? How can I lead the conversation on a current issue? Where do I see things going? That kind of thing. So you see, depending on who the person is who's writing and where they sit in this, because the person who's writing may be an expert or may be sort of mid-level. And so you write to the best of your ability. And then you're writing for a particular audience. Is the audience a beginner, intermediate, or advanced? And so keeping that in mind as well is important, because you have multiple audiences. We don't just have one audience, right? And the basics, I guess, would be important. So things like making sure you run through a spell check, that you've, made sure all your grammar is good, that you have a call to action. So when you write a post, what do you want them to do? Maybe you want them to go read an article that you've written. or you've got a link that you want to share, a checklist for them to download. There should be something, or it could just be you end with a question. So you share about a news piece and you pose a question, and what you're doing there is you're trying to get engagement. So you might end with a question and say that, hopefully you have some thoughts on this, and maybe you can drop a comment. And usually you'll find if the thing resonates with people, you'll have a lot of comments, and that's a wonderful thing, because now you've got a conversation going.
Absolutely.